Opening credits. Ava and Carol Detective Agency. The Mystery of Solomon's Ring. Chapter 15. First Class.
Ava, the taxi's here.
Ava appeared from the bathroom with her backpack slung over her shoulder.
Just grabbed our toothbrushes. Do we need anything else? I think we're good. I have the tablet and a ton of cereal bars. We both have a change of clothes and our phones and chargers, right?
Ava nodded. Carol slung her backpack over her shoulder, too.
Good. Let's hurry. We still need to check in, and I don't know if it's different in first class.
Ava let out a laugh. Do you think they'll put down the red carpet for us? Carol shrugged.
If they do, I'm calling Leonardo DiCaprio as my date.
That's fine. He's kind of looking like an owl these days. Carol scoffed.
Does not?
Does too.
Seriously, he doesn't.
Who? Replied Ava.
Leonardo,
replied Carol, confused.
Who? Oh, I get it. Funny. An owl joke, moaned Carol. Come on.
Soon they settled into a cab.
All right, said Carol. We have to travel to Rennes-le-Château, which is only a 30-minute taxi ride from the airport to Abbey Mont-Saint-Baptiste.
Right, and that's where you think the Altar of Light is located? Ava asked. She nodded.
According to the actual map, it's the only place there would be an altar in the area.
Ava noticed the driver looking at them strangely in the rearview mirror, his finger thumping nervously on the steering wheel. Something about him didn't seem right. But Ava couldn't get Carol to stop talking. She was in non-stop jabber mode.
So, Carol droned on, it's actually a very short flight from our airport in Florence to Perpignan, France.
Okay, smiled Ava to Carol. Great to know. What I'm wondering is how much further to the Florence airport? We're about 5 minutes away, the driver responded. There's a very little traffic tonight. I couldn't help but hear you were flying to France. Where is it that you said you were flying into? I know France very well. I could perhaps suggest some places you would like to visit. Carol noticed Ava's tiny head shake.
Oh, no, smiled Carol. Thank you so much. We're meeting my parents there at the airport. They've been to France many times.
Of course, smiled the driver. The next few minutes were filled with uncomfortable silence. It felt like they would never reach the airport. Finally, the cab pulled into a circular drive filled with cabs, vans, and people walking toward the terminal. The girls quickly clambered out of the cab, grabbing their backpacks. Ava waited, tapping her foot as Carol paid the driver. The man thanked Carol and then drove off, his cab mixing with the traffic leaving the airport. Okay, so did you think the driver was acting a little suspicious? Ava queried. I mean, he was staring at us strangely in the mirror. And then those questions.
I guess, mused Carol. But truthfully, right now I find everyone suspicious.
Ava nodded. It's like we can't trust anyone. The fluorescent lighting in the airport made everyone look pale and sickly. You could make a killing opening a tanning salon in here, thought Ava. Carol glanced at her phone. They had a good hour to kill before their flight, so they decided to grab some food from a small deli named Firenze's. While Carol checked them in for their flight, Ava grabbed a couple of sandwiches and 2 bottles of water. When she rejoined her friend, she noticed Carol had a huge smile on her face.
Thanks to all the traveling your mom has done with her Amex card, You are now looking at 2 first-class passengers.
She showed Ava her phone, listing them as seated in row 3, seats A and B.
You are a genius. I've never flown first class.
Carol laughed and shut down her tablet.
It wasn't me, but I'll take the compliment.
The girls gulped down their sandwiches as they watched the crowds pass through the airport. The airport was small, but incredibly busy.
Now I know why there wasn't any traffic tonight,
said Carol, motioning to the crowd. They're all here.
I know, right? I guess we should find our gate,
said Ava as she stuffed the last bite of her sandwich in her mouth.
Yeah,
said Carol, looking around.
There should be a directory or something.
Right there. Ava pointed to an electric board divided into departures and arrivals. The girls scanned the board, double-checking their tickets and flight numbers.
Gate 7,
smiled Ava.
It's our lucky number.
The girls began walking toward their gate, mixing into a cluster of people that scurried about in all directions. 2 armed security guards passed them, staring, their faces unsmiling. Ava could see Carol tense as they passed by. The 2 men stopped and conversed with one another, looking toward the girls.
Don't turn around, Ava whispered. Just keep walking.
The girls made it to Gate 7 and quickly sat in an empty row of chairs. Carol believed that at any second she was going to feel a hand on her shoulder, but the security guards never reappeared.
I don't know,
said Carol with a worried look on her face.
We are just 2 kids, and we're trying to board an international flight.
Ava nodded.
Haven't you seen on the news where kids do this? Just last week, a 14-year-old flew to Australia using his grandmother's credit card. Plus, I have a plan. Oh, no,
whispered Carol.
It doesn't include whipping a quarter at the gate attendant to distract her, does it?
No, laughed Ava, but it will involve something I'm amazing at.
You're going to annoy them into letting you on the plane?
Asked Carol as she crossed her arms. No, I'm going to use my charm and my incredible acting skills.
That's 2 things,
clarified Carol. Carol, I'm about to adopt a family.
What does that even mean?
Asked Carol, bewildered. Watch and learn, said Ava confidently. Watch,
I know,
finished Carol, sighing.
And learn.
A throng of people began gathering around the boarding area as the airport staff started calling out zone numbers. Ava and Carol stood, grabbing their backpacks.
Hang back for just a second,
said Ava, watching the crowd.
No problem,
said Carol, relieved.
On second thought,
she grabbed Ava by the shoulder.
If you get me arrested, Ava Clark,
shh, Ava whispered.
Just play along and give me your backpack.
Ava found her target. An American couple looking to be in their late 30s had gathered at Zone 1, assigned to first-class customers. Ava turned on her charm by complimenting the woman on her jacket and incredible taste in fashion.
Are you involved in the fashion expo in Paris? Perhaps a model,
Ava gushed.
Who, me?
Smiled the woman, putting her hand to her chest, obviously flattered. Ava expertly eased the woman into a conversation as Carol stood by, silently watching the exchange. Slowly, craftily, Ava maneuvered the conversation. She told the couple that she and Carol were flying to meet her mother, who was an international journalist, and how Carol had slipped in the shower and broken a rib. It was a tragedy, but Ava, being an amazing friend, had become her caretaker and luggage hauler. The woman patted Carol on the shoulder gently. "You poor darling," she purred. Carol smiled, then fake winced from the make-believe rib pain.
"If you wouldn't mind," said Ava, "we're flying first class too. Would it be too much trouble to help me with her backpack? I need to help her into her seat, and I don't want to cause a huge commotion."
"Oh, of course not." The woman turned to her husband. "George, help that young lady." Carol turned on the drama, bending over slightly, stepping forward gingerly. "George, don't just stand there. Help that poor girl." George shot his wife a "you gotta be kidding me" look, but then awkwardly put his arm under Carol's arm, helping her forward. Again, Ava gushed her thanks, telling them how thoughtful they were. The gate attendant called for first class to board. The woman greeted the girls' new adopted parents and then scanned Ava and Carol's tickets, smiling and waving them through.
"Oh my gosh, that was close,"
Carol whispered. Aboard the plane, George helped Ava and Carol with their luggage, looking just like a doting parent. Ava awkwardly hugged him and then snuggled into her massive, comfy-looking recliner. They looked at each other and smiled widely. Ava let out a sigh of relief and giggled as she fastened her seatbelt. They had done it. Their plan had worked. Carol looked over at her friend and smiled. She was glad that, for the moment, Ava had something fun to distract her.
"I feel like a movie star,"
sighed Carol.
"This is the best."
Ava suddenly sat back upright, a new kind of excitement coming over her. "I just realized what we can do with first-class seats," she said.
"What?"
"Hold on, I'll show you." She turned to a flight attendant.
"Sir, could we please order 2 Shirley Temples with lots of cherries?"
"Certainly," the man replied, dipping his head and smiling to himself, bemused. "Might as well make it a cup on the side filled with cherries," she added. "It's for medicinal reasons. I was diagnosed with scurvy." The man arched his eyebrow and looked at Ava quizzically, and then walked off to the front of the plane. Carol laughed and bumped Ava with her shoulder.
"I can't believe you asked for a cupful."
"He'll be well rewarded," smiled Ava, as she reached into her pocket and pulled out a shiny quarter.
If you're enjoying Thomas Lockhaven's audiobook content, please like and subscribe. It's the best way to help out the channel.